time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur podcast. I am your Maturepreneur, Jeanette Anderson, and today I'm here with the really bodacious Deb Drummond from Vancouver. Welcome, Deb. I'm glad you're here.
Oh my goodness, thank you. This is going to be so fun.
Yeah. And when I say really bodacious, I mean really bodacious. Like, this woman is a dynamo. And I'll read you just a bit of her intro to give you an idea, but then I'm going to ask her to tell us something that we would never guess about her, because there's probably a million things that you would never guess about her. But because she is one very, very busy woman. So Deb Drummond lives in beautiful British Vancouver. Vancouver, British Columbia. Let me slow down there. She's the mother of her two favorite people, her daughter, Chloe, and her son, Ocean. And she's also a yaya, which I'm pretty sure is grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. She really is a pioneer in the world of entrepreneurship and was one of the first in Canada to create companies in the health and wellness sector. To date, she's built 7 international companies and inspired thousands around the globe. She's been recognized in Success Magazine 48 times. Yeah, no, we're going to talk about that too. Has been given numerous nominations and has won numerous awards for her accolades and her personal and business achievements. So she is involved in many different organizations, is judge for the Women in Business Honors Stevie Awards for Women in Business, founder and visionary behind the show Stand Up, Speak Up, Yes, You movement. This is a televised, heart-centered project with a reach of over 350 million, designed to inspire women and those that support women to remember the solidarity of International Women's Day. Her book, At the Center of This Movement, was featured at the 2024 Emmy Premier Celebrity Gifting Suite to great acclaim. So she's been doing this for a long time, 30-year deep dive, studying and training in top performance, gives her a reputation in the field as a speaker, mastermind trainer, and personal coach. So she has motivated audiences of over 20,000 to stand to their feet. She, in private practice, she's personally worked with over 30,000 clients. I don't even know how you would do that. So we're going to talk about that too. She's also a radio host of the Mission Accepted podcast. And the list goes on and on and on in terms of the events that she creates, the summits, the activities, the books, the different levels and platforms for exposure, particularly for women. So welcome, Deb. I'm glad that you somehow managed to fit this in your whirlwind life. But we're going to talk about how you've done all of that and why, and some of the things that people can think about when they want to play that bigger game. So how you got to this level of playing a bigger game. So welcome. I'm happy to speak with you and find out more about just how you do all the stuff that you do, because you get a lot done.
I get a lot done. Well, thank you again for having me. And I'll put first thing, I won't dismiss the energy and work that it's taken to accomplish some of those things that you listed, but also I don't call it a journey anymore. I call it a stretch to significance. So it's definitely been a stretch, but in all honesty, I started my first company in my 20s, with like a piece of paper, you know what I mean? So it has been a growth. It's been everything, like every emotion, every emoji, should we say every emoji now that you have on there? Yeah. I had it. Maybe I should get someone to make me a dress of all the emojis. So if people say, how do you do what you do? I was like, here it is, Yeah. I also, I was talking yesterday on a show, and how I've been able to do what I do has been with also coaches and trainers and experts and counselors and therapists. I mean, let's face it, that's a big chunk of my life, right? That I spent doing the entrepreneurial journey. And it has been everything up and not up. I call it rice and peas to steak and lobster. So how I do it is really, I think what I learned really early on is, first of all, I think gumption is really highly underrated. I think if you're gumptuous, it doesn't really matter what that's about. I was just talking to one of my clients, and we've been working together for 2 years, and we finally just secured her someone to take her children's book and plushies and her philosophy around people falling behind by not reading when they're younger, and now go take it to a script and take it to Apple. And that was 2 years. So what I think is that the world has all these things that are accessible, and her joy is teaching kids how to read. And how someone would say, oh, you like to do 10 years ago, we would not say, oh, I guess you're going to go get a TV show. Like there's so many advances in our accessibility, but it still really comes down to what it is that makes you get up in the morning and put your feet on the floor. And that within itself, it takes some exploring. So I don't think it's so much what you do. I think it's how you do what you do that can make this journey a little bit easier. So that's where I spend all of my time asking myself and working. I teach top performance. I should be able to perform in a top fashion, have good results, and skim off some of the stress around the achievement of getting there. But it's been interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, there's a lot of things in there I want to dive deeper into it. And I love your line, stretch into significance. That's going to be a quote I go throw up in my group right away. And gumption is underrated. So you mentioned kind of inadvertently there at the end about why you do what you do. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And one of my titles is The Why Whisperer. And one of the questions that I ask people all the time is, what is your why, your purpose in life? So not what you do, not how you do it, not what it is lately, but what's been your lifelong purpose? What drives all of this for you?
Yeah. I think I would say there's 3 factors, because I've been careering for a long time, right? So, a triple decade here, I've been doing this. And I think my why has changed, but I haven't changed inside. So I think by nature, I have people ask me often, how do you do what you do? Because I'm in media. People see what I do, right? And there's a really beautiful scene in the movie Robin Hood with Kevin Costner. And he has, the fellow that's with him is dark skinned, and they're in Sherwood Forest, and this little girl who's never seen a dark skinned, person before walks up to him and says, "Did God paint you?" And he says, he basically says to her, "God made me this way." Now, for me, I think I came out a little bit, screaming and fighting. And my grandmother was my mentor, and no one messed with that lady. And there was my mom used to get really mad at me, and she'd say, "Lady Jane, you are just like your grandmother." And I was like, and inside I'd be like, I'm not really seeing the problem in that. But it was, she was feisty. So I think I had some fire. I was born with fire. So I don't want to take credit for everything. The second thing is that I went to a concert when I was 17, and it was a Simple Minds concert here in Vancouver. And I got introduced to an organization that did a lot for world human rights. And I really aligned with justice and equality and the humanness of being human. And I think that's been a secondary undercurrent, particularly the projects that I've always done has been in service. And then the third, I think, is because I was raised in a home where, my dad left and my mom was left to financially figure it out. And so, one of her financial rescues was Tupperware. And if you are, you'll know Tupperware. So she took me to Tupperware parties because she couldn't afford a babysitter. And it was the first time I could tell you the first party I went to. I was 8 years old. I could tell you exactly what the room looked like right now. And it was a room of women that were having fun. My mom was making money. They were purchasing. And there was something I called the circle of commerce. And it was the first time I got that bug. And then it stayed with me. Now, I went on into the music industry. I had an epiphany, and my experience of the companies that I built and everything. But I think there was always something underneath it. Even when I built the home party companies, I was actually on my way to go get a degree in women's studies and religious studies and help women in third world countries have economic platform. So my mom always said to me, we used to watch boxing. You remember when Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard and all that? And she's like, you always vote for the underdog. And I think because I felt I related to being an underdog, I felt like I had to fight for what I had. And look, that was just the name of the day, right? That was the name of the day. I looked for a women's networking group. There wasn't any. So Jeanette, I just made one Sunday at my house, 2:00 in the afternoon, bring your kids. And we all paid $2 and everybody ate and drank. So I think by nature, maybe because of my underdog upbringing where we had to fight for what we had, that I felt that I wanted to somehow raise the bar, make equality, make access, and not an easy, seriously, there's a lot of things I could have picked that would have been easier, but those are the undercurrents that play out that honestly, when days that I'm tired, I get up anyway. So I really believe in what you're saying about your why. And right. It was either instilled in me or I made a decision or I'm, maybe a therapist would say you're working it out, or I think I've kind of worked it out, but
yeah. And my definition of your why is a bit different than a lot of people's. I think it's the intersection of what we're healing from the past and what we long for the future, for ourselves and others. And it's consistent throughout our life. How we live into it changes. Our stand or expression of it changes from time to time. So what I heard in your kind of combination of those three things is really a stand for seeing those who are not seen, the underdogs, leveling the playing field for them, so that they can have the access, the opportunities, the visibility to be able to show up and shine. So I think that there is that element of yes, being a fighter for sure is how you do it. But I think what I'm hearing is really wanting to have those who are not seen or who are disadvantaged or who are perhaps given something, extra to deal with, like you were when you were younger, an opportunity to go beyond that. And when you do what you do with women's groups, with the books, with the summits, with the events that you do, it's that same thing. Those who are not being seen get an opportunity to be seen and celebrated. So let's talk a little bit about, because you mentioned media and so forth. Give people an overview of what is your business now. So what do you do now? So you've been at this for a long time. You just stepped into your 6th decade, and what are you doing now? What am I doing now,
Jeanette? Well, I own a company, and it's called Mission Accepted Media. And it started with a podcast and grew very quickly. And Mission Accepted is a platform for people that are on a mission. And so to clarify mission, because I've had all sorts of interesting comments around that, is that it is people that are on a mission in relationship to anyone who's self-funded. I got my last Emmys. I'm looking for my next book. I'm looking for my next show. Like, it by nature is people that have made a decision to be an entrepreneur, an ultrapreneur. They're in the creative arts. They're in media. They're as good as their last show kind of thing, that are in that process. And so what we do is create what we call accessible media, which I think is very much a differentiator. So we are a media house that doesn't say get on. So we do podcasts, we do group podcasts, we do 3-part mini series, we do solo shows, we do print. So if someone wants to have us do their book launch, help market their book, get their book into media, because they've had it and it's collecting a little dust because it hit #1 and then it came back down like a beautiful woman's body and it's somewhere in the abyss of the books on the market. So they're like, I want to bring this back to life. We bring it back to life. We do print they can participate in. We always do anthology projects. Right now is the big entrepreneur planner that they can put quotes in. And so we do projects that they can play in print with us. And then they can also get onto our stages. So for people that are at the early stage and they're like, oh, I've never been on a big stage, we've got a place for you. For those that love expert panels, we got a place for you. And if you want to, command the stage, we have a place for you. And we do that in a very accessible way. Accessible for women are two things, time and money. Mm-hmm. So people can be on a group podcast and people like for $35 and people like, oh, I go on podcasts for free all the time. I'm like, yes, but we're a media house. Your podcast will be seen and opened 900 times in the first 30 days. So, or 90 days, sorry. So we do things where it's creating sustainability through not only being seen, but all of the things that go with being seen. Right. And then we've got TV. So if you speak on our stage on a panel or a solo spot, we take that, do all the wonderful things in technology, make it beautiful, and give you your own episode. Now you're streaming to 900 million. Now it's less time in the world of marketing and it's concentrated marketing. And then if you want to be interviewed on TV, if you want to have your own TV show, we literally, if someone was to say to me, I'm going to start a podcast, I'm like, start a TV show. Start a TV show. We're going to walk you through. It's not much different. And it's a revenue generating tool for women. So you'll never get anyone to pay $1,000 to come onto your podcast. We charge $400. I'll tell you straight transparency. It cost me $383 in marketing per show. So we're still sitting there for free, building relationships and what have you. If I had the option, I'd go because people will come and they'll pay to sit on your show. Why? Because we're streaming them to everywhere. So there's a whole sorts of difference. It takes education. So our media house is an education house. It's a media house. It teaches people things like media score and media stacking. It gets you in places of budget. So you can go from 35, up to, 5,000, 10,000. So what do you want? How much do you want out there? And then all the coaching that goes along with it. So I like to explain it that way because it sounds very like I'm selling it. I'm not selling it. But it is a different, if I say, oh, I own a media house and you can come play with us, people automatically, there's like this prefrontal cortex that gets really fuzzy for women. And they're like, I can't imagine being on TV. What does that look like? And we're like, let us walk you through. You're never alone. Very different. Very different. Yeah.
Okay. So as you can tell, everybody, yep, no grass growing under this woman's feet because I'm exhausted just listening to the list of various things that you do. Okay. So that's your business. How long have you had that business?
Okay, well, I'm hitting the 33 number for entrepreneurship in general. And the media house, I mean, I've been like a fractional chief marketing officer probably 25 of those years and building 7 companies myself. I'm very versed. I mean, I remember sitting and helping coding with websites when that's what was going on. So I've been in the arena of media and marketing. This full access of being able to go media into podcasts, 9 years, 10 years.
Okay. Yep. So quite a while. And I want to come back to the TV question because there's a lot of people, myself included, who don't really get the world of streaming TV and the benefits thereof. But before we go there, tell me a little bit about what's changed in that entrepreneurial journey. So when you started out, you were younger, you were kind of middle-aged, well, what was considered middle-aged then. 65 is the new middle age, but
okay. Wow, I was going to say I started in my 20s. That's middle age now. So there's nothing wrong.
No, when you were like in your 30s and you had your business kind of going and you were doing things like that, but people being born now are supposedly living to 130, so 65 will be middle age. Not too long. But tell me a little bit more about when you kind of moved into entrepreneurship. What was the challenge? And what is the challenges that you're dealing with now that you're a bit older? Has that changed? Is it the same thing? What's the difference for you?
Okay. That's interesting. I think it's a little more difficult for me to go back because if you think going back, let's say we go back, 30 years or something, I have to say, in all honesty, the gumption has not changed. The enthusiasm, because I believe that at heart, I'm a creative that has chosen business as my canvas. So when I'm creating, it's very exciting. Right now, I'm creating a new book, coming out next year. I'm creating the tracker, like I stay up late at night. It thrills a part of me that I don't think will ever go away. So I think in terms of when I first started, there was really no resources. So, you didn't have a plethora of coaches or trainers or people that are like, that had done it before you. No one had created an aromatherapy home party company. Yeah. No one had a real gemstone jewelry company that was extracting, ethical extraction. Like I was kind of pushing the envelope, and the tough part, and I don't care what anyone says, if they're a pioneer, they're gonna nod their head when I say this. Pioneering is a tough gig. Like, seriously, it's a tough gig. I look at, Gwyneth Paltrow with Goop and like, yay, you. But that whole Goop thing, I always say, exception of the candle that smells like it smells, if you know the story of her candle, then that's what I created with the home party company. The difficult part was being a pioneer in my mind, not waiting to the right timing. And it was like, people are like, they literally, one of my best dear friends, God bless you, because she's on the other side. She was like, people aren't ready for aromatherapy. Now, she wasn't wrong, but I was so pissed off that she said it. I did it anyway. And it was tough. Like, it's tough when you're alone, and it's tough when you're trying to get a point across, and you're trying to break barriers, and now aromatherapy, there's a cajillion places for aromatherapy. Yeah. We were the first ones in Canada to bring in soya. Do you know what it's like to try to talk people out of paraffin candles into soya that cost double the amount 20 years ago? Yeah. It was hard. So I think the toughest part of my world from building companies that had that weren't status quo was pioneering and everything that comes with it. It's double the deal. It's double the deal.
Absolutely. And I love that quote, don't wait for the right timing. And the quality that you just mentioned, the oppositional defiance, if you tell me I can't, then I'm going to show you, right, is a really integral part of being an entrepreneur. Like, there's not many entrepreneurs who don't have that kind of, oppositional defiance and that kind of I'll show you-ness. It's not absolutely required, but I don't know many who don't have it, right? Mm-hmm. Many who are successful, because like you said, you got to stay in the game, and that takes something to push off of. Not only something to move towards, but something to push off of. And that push off of is often, I'll show you, for many people. So now that you know what you know, for people coming into the world of entrepreneurship now, perhaps in their 60s, what would you say is the number one lesson that you learned along the way that helped you be successful, that you would want them to do sooner than you did? Yeah, thank you for asking that question. It's a good one. First of all, if there's anything in your head that says, I'm not ... or I need ... or I'm too ... or I don't have, all of that, as true as you make it is as true as it is. And it doesn't matter. It could be true. We went through a lot when we were breaking ground. I remember when I opened up the holistic health studio, and there was a fight whether holistic body workers could do massage because you weren't a registered massage therapist. And, that was messing with everybody. Whatever you are about to step into, or in your first year or your second year or your third year, and you have any of that kind of stuff around comparison, do not compare your insides to other people's outsides. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a very dangerous game. And if it's true, so what? Yeah. Like, so what? And, I've had experiences in my life where I'm like, I don't have that education. I don't have this. I don't have that. If you go and listen to a lot of, here's an example. So my son started his business at 12. I was like, oh God. And then at 15, he got serious. And then at 19, so he's 21 years old. He's been on the market for 2 years. And he was having a session with a counselor about some stuff that was going on in school. And I was in the other room, not listening, but I walked out and I heard this. The counselor said to him, that happened to know me, because, he said, it's so great what you're doing. You should go to university and get a degree in business, and that's going to help you so much. My son's reply was, but I have my mom. Mm-hmm. Now, you may not have a mom like me, but you can hire someone like me. And I'm not saying you have to hire me. I'm saying that you have to, I think that
for me, one of the advancements has been having someone to talk to and banter your ideas through. And I would say the criteria for that is if you're wanting to make a certain amount of money, if you're wanting to live a certain lifestyle, if you're wanting to achieve a certain thing, if you're wanting to, make sure that the person you hire has either done it, checked it off, and can take you there. Now, not everyone you hire is going to take you all the way. Your first coach may not be your last coach, but you need to make sure that they know very much where you're at psychologically so they can move the needle no matter what, right? Yeah. They'll move the needle no matter what, and will create that platform for you. So I would say that is super criteria. And honestly, think about it. I love the statement, and it's not mine, right? It's like when they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go get a law degree. I'm 45. It's going to take me, till I'm 55. It's like, well, guess what? Truth alert, you're going to be 55 anyway. Exactly. Like, it's not like not doing it is going to stop anything. And we all know that we can fill our time with all sorts of really cool things to do. There's lots of parks and cafes and good movies to go see and all of that. It's like, ask yourself the truth. What's going to make you feel good at the end of the game? Is it to get that book out so that your grandkids can have a piece of legacy through print? Is it that what is it? And then stop worrying about the results.
Again, lots in there that was valuable. And I hope you guys are taking notes, because I am. I'm writing down lots of these little nuggets, big nuggets. But one of the things that you just said that I think I want to point out. So you mentioned hire a coach who's been there, done that. And yes, that's true. Although Tiger Woods has 4 coaches that have never won the green jacket, or the Open or whatever.
Yeah, the US Open.
But they can still help him move forward and win it himself, because they have subject matter expertise in ways that he doesn't have, and can take him from, good to great to greater. But what I think you, when you were talking about your son, when he said, I have my mom, what I heard was, I have someone who can show me how to think bigger. Because I think that's one of your huge gifts, is you simply think bigger. You think about things and go, why not? As opposed to, well, how or can I or should I or any of those. It's really just, how do I? So you ask better questions and you think bigger. You've got a different frame of reference. How do you think about things when you think bigger? So when you think of, okay, I want to do something really bold and audacious, what is your thought process around that allows you to just step into it and go do it?
Right. Well, 2 is, again, that's where that natural gumption comes in. The other one is that I've been doing this long enough, and I'm talking life. I mean, business is one thing, but if you've been on the planet and you've lived through some stuff, like you've got a college degree or a business degree or a life degree, you've watched, observed, and right? You've lived through some stuff. So I believe that there's a big piece of betting on me. Like, I'll bet on me. You know what I mean? If it doesn't, I don't worry so much about the outcome. Not this project that I'm in, the women's project that you know about, that we're doing right now. A lot of it has been unforeseen. So I planned to a certain degree, and then so we planned the book. A year later, I watch a movie and change the dime. Okay, now we're doing summits. So now we start doing summits. Out of my mouth, from nowhere, truth, comes every woman that speaks on our stage, I'm going to get them on TV. My compiler tells me to shut up and stop telling people that. She's like, you don't have a TV station. I'm like, that's okay, we'll have one. She's like, oh, God have mercy, right? So she's pretty strong and faith-based as well. And she's like, okay, you're paying my check, it's your egg on your face. So I'm telling every woman. And then, a year later, we launched the Women's Channel. And how that came to be, not easy. I sourced and researched and did, all the things that were needed for that. But one thing does lead to the other. So the grand scheme, you don't have to think about fully. Now, when I talk to my son, and is straight up, he's on the couch, he's 15 years old, he sits me down, tells me he wants to be an entrepreneur. Out of my mouth comes, So we're never going to eat off the dining room table. I'm going to tell you, because so our dining room table has some paper on it. And I laugh. So we start talking and I go, so I wanted to know, I'm like, so what do you want to do with this business? It's streetwear and fashion and art. I go, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to break a brand. I want to design my own clothes. I want to do this. I want to sew and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay. And out of my mouth goes, so what do you want to make in your first year? Now he's 15. Okay. So he says $1 million. Now I had to shut up my mom's voice in my head, right? My mom's voice in my head. And I was like, okay, let me show you what that would take.
Mm-hmm.
And we started to do a business plan and adjust accordingly. So it got adjusted to $305,000. But what I wanted to know was, where was he at? What does he want to do? If you had him on this show right now, he would say to you, I want stores. I want a basketball court in my store. And so you have a vision. When and where that plays out, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, right? So I think that from how you know that you're going to end up where you're going to end up, I think you just have to have the best picture that you can, the best picture that you can on how that's going to be, and roll with the punches and make decisions accordingly.
Okay, so I'm kind of trying to reverse engineer your process as you.
Oh, I'm a reverse engineer. Oh, do you want me to talk about that? I can tell you exactly that. I can tell you exactly how I reverse engineered this.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about that too. So what I just heard you say was, first of all, I take action, whatever it may be. So in the first case, it was your, write the book or get the book going, get the result. And often the result is not necessarily what I thought it was going to be. It morphs, it expands. So allow that. It expands. And in the expanding, I can connect with the vision or the dream of what else might be possible. Where else might we go with this? Clarify that vision, put it out into the world, and I would call it allow God to partner with you, or allow the universe to have its way with you, and to trust that process enough to be willing to commit without knowing how, and then figure out the how. So put it out and say, we're going to have TV stations. I have no idea how, but that's what I was, that's what came in, and that's what I'm going to do. And then figure out the solution and the mechanics and the details. So I think there's a lot in there in terms of the wisdom of doing things differently than most people do, and certainly than we are trained to do. We are trained to, get ready, then aim, then fire. And you fire, then you maybe aim, and then you get ready. And so I think it's really a different way of thinking.
I think that yes and yes, and both ways work. So look, I have we just launched it. We talked about a pre-show. I have a top performance planner. So in that planner, I have people write their 5-year goal and their 1 year. Mm-hmm. So you have a clear vision. Mm-hmm. The stuff in the middle, that's where God plays. That's where things change. That's where we're not going to worry about that, because until you get to your first year, then that might change, that might this, might that. But you have a 5-year goal. Mine is me and my son on stage talking about, this. I want a Chagall to hang over my TV that I should have bought a long time ago that I'm still choked I didn't buy it. Like all the, the things. I want to be in Ireland during the summer with a Great Dane making perfume. Like the 5-year thing is there. Okay. So in the first year, so when I took a look at what I wanted to do from this project, you got to think that I had already produced 11 books. I had been in this for a long time. So I had some of the know-how. And so I always go a year back. So when we looked at it, when I'm talking to my compiler, I'm like, we build this, it's going to take this much time. We think to get 262 women to go, let's party, right? And then this is our launch date, no matter what, this is our launch date. And this is when we go to market, and this is the time it's going to take Amazon and Ingram and book covers. And so you make a plan based on a year. And even if you're not going to launch for 2 years, like Ocean's not in a retail store. So, we're going to plan in 2 years, is that I did it in a year chunk, take it down to the week. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to launch another book next year. And it's funny you say go bigger. I'll just leave that there. So, and I'm talking to my compiler and I'm like, what's our lead time? Just double checking lead time. Okay, let's put the journal out before the book. And so now we put things into each weekly action, knowing that if we don't get messed up by anybody, We go, it's going to take 6 weeks, let's say 8, because you need buffer because you've been around for a while. You know what happens, the dog gets sick or whatever. So you're 8 weeks and that's our date. And as we get closer, we agree or disagree, move it up, down. So it is calculated, but things can happen. And so you get there. The nice thing about checking every week, which is what we do in this planner, is you see if you're on it or not, or if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, like you'll be able to catch yourself So yes. And when things come in and I'm told now I'm going to be adding summits and I'm like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really, frankly, if your motto is yes, and that pretty much covers the whole thing. So yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to plan it out and I'm going to make space for more to come in or different to come in or for this to be directed as it is directed. And I'm going to say yes and to more and to the possibilities, which I think is really powerful yeses. Living a yes life. Shonda Rhimes wrote a book, A Year of Yes. It is a really powerful framing for a life that gets shit done, right? So briefly, let's talk, because there's so many places we can go. Let's talk about TV and streaming TV, because I've had so many people approach me over the years, really popular in the last 5 years, kind of coming in a little bit before that, but really popularized in the last 5 years, is streaming TV. Now, I don't watch streaming TV. I don't even frankly know how to find streaming TV. So I assume lots of people are like me, but then I hear all these big numbers about, viewers and stream to all of these people and so forth. Tell us a little bit about what streaming TV is, what's that revolution in the media world, and should we be paying attention and why?
Okay. Thank you. I think that learning about ways that can get your message out in a broader fashion is always worth investing in the information. Okay. And it is a learning curve, straight up. So, you mentioned my 48 times in Success Magazine. That was for sales, growth, and acquisition of a company that I took international. So I was I'm going to say this not to gloat, but I'm going to say to give you an example. So I was number 1 in 10 countries out of 200,000 people in sales. Okay, cool. I chose a medium. That medium that I chose to market that business was a one-to-many. Now I chose to go into trade shows. And people are like, oh, so trade shows, you're comfortable, you've been in trade shows. So the book that I'm writing and releasing early this year is about rocking a trade show. I don't tell you to do a trade show, I tell you how to do it. That will yield higher results in a formula that has a lot of different people that are coming to see you or you to see them. Okay. So now it's a one-to-many formula. So we all agree trade shows are great. We all agree networking groups are great. We all agree conferences are great. Why? Because there's one-to-many. So if you take that one-to-many formula, right, and I can go on to a television channel. I can create a television show that is going to be streamed. So what people don't realize when they say streamed, we think very differently. Like we can go to NBC, CBS, CBC, BBC, ABC, and that's not streaming. Yeah, it is. We're just used to calling it ABC, NBC, CBS, CBC, blah, blah, blah. Now, there are other, let's just call them channels, networks. Okay, those are networks. So is Amazon, Apple, Google, Tubi, Roku, right? And Roku is like in your TV when you buy it now. So just look at them as channels. ABC's a channel, Roku's a channel, NBC, so no different. Okay, now those channels have shows. NBC has what, Will and Grace? Yep. Or The Survivor. We go to that channel, NBC, and we scroll down and we go, let's watch Survivor. Perfect. Okay. Now there's these, let's just call these secondary channels that don't have the size of audience that they do. Okay. And they're the exact same thing. Now, how do you access them? It sounds like that's really the question. How do we access them? So here's something interesting. I have Shaw. So I'm in Vancouver, Canada. We have a streaming company called Shaw Streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I can talk into my controller now, right? Or you can push, and I go free romance movies. Let's say I want to watch a Hallmark, free romance movies. Now I go there and there's You Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. I click on it and it says free on Tubi. I clicked free. It takes me over to Tubi. Tubi, they might as well be taking me to NBC.
Right.
They're just not paying what NBC is. They're not just like, so they take me over to a network and I watch my show. That's streaming.
Okay.
Roku, what have you. So it's streaming, and how you access it is very similar. Or like with us, you literally can go to my website and you can click the women's channel and it's going to take you over to the women's channel. There's ways of bypassing that. How do you get to NBC? You can just go and get on to Will and Grace, and you don't realize you're actually being streamed on NBC.
Right.
Because we never use those terms.
Right.
So that's the accessibility. And to say, how can someone like me or someone like you have a TV show? Is the beginning. Take us back to the beginning of podcasts. Remember how daunting and what and how do you get the word out? And everybody wanted to be a podcast guest, right?
Yep.
Because they thought this is going to give me what?
Exposure.
One to many.
Yes.
And the podcast host was in La La Land a little bit, thinking that everyone was going to send it out, but people didn't know how. Not their fault. So they were going to build their business and they were going to expand their market by interviewing people, and they were going to what? Put it on their social, put it on their website, and that was going to give them one to many.
Right.
Okay. Now,
So
podcast,
streaming is basically today what podcast was 10, 15 years ago, a one-to-many platform. In this case, it's a television show, and you can create your own show just like you could create your own podcast and still can. And be the star and distribute it the same as we do with our podcast, but also have the distribution of being on that platform that gets all these other people that are driving traffic to it, which is the difference than, my guests drive traffic to my podcast, but that's it. One person is driving traffic to it versus hundreds of thousands of people who are driving traffic to the platform.
Yes, it becomes the job of the network. And doesn't that feel nice? So someone comes on to, I'm going to use me as an example. Why wouldn't I? The women's channel. Yeah. So you decide that you want a show. And the cool thing is we curate and make that show. And it can be, you can have interviewers, you can have sponsors, and why would they want to? Because we're a media house that's helping you push the media out. And so we do that. But really, it's the job of the network that I pay. So they take you to Amazon and Apple and Roku and Tubi and all of that. And everything they do is part of this big women's channel family. Yeah. And so you no longer have to worry about exposure. The other thing you don't really have to worry about is marketing, because you don't have to rely on the guests so much to market. They're on TV. They're going to tell somebody. You know what I mean? Exactly. They're going to tell somebody. So you take out the two elements that are a problem. The third problem is with a podcast. And look, I have a podcast. You have a podcast. Please do not think I'm anti-podcast. I help people make them. If that's your shtick, cool. Yeah. So, but less like the average podcast the average podcast only reaches 7 shows because people realize it's time and it's money, both. And less than 90% of shows, as you know, make it to the 100th episode. But if you take away, I don't have to market it or know about marketing or willing to learn about marketing, and I don't have to worry about the audience, then marketing your show by walking in a room and saying, I'd love for you to see my TV show. I'd love for you to be my guest on a TV show. You'll have a wait list. Yeah. And so it's the posture play because you've been vetted. Look, we know that people that are on TV, they were vetted, period. So it's a different, and my message to say to anyone out there is you can have a TV show in your first 6 months of business. You can come out of the gate. That's where we are now in the world. Just like you had a Facebook, remember, Facebook, and, oh my gosh, am I going to have this? It was all this, oh my gosh. We're at the oh my gosh stage. Watch in 8 years. You're going to go, damn, I wish I had my own show, because then you'll be in that top play and will have learned everything that you need to. It's no different. Yeah. Like it's no different, and it's accessible.
I think that's brilliant description. Now, I know you got to go at the top of the hour, so I want to wrap up quickly here, but where can people find out more about you and connect with you? And you've got a gift for people, so tell them about that, which, by the way, y'all, you can get out of the vault, and you can also get from Deb directly. So go to the vault in the show notes to find out how to do that. But Deb, tell us where people can find you and about your gift.
Sure. Okay, so I do everything very systematically. You can go to debdrummond.com, and pretty well on the bottom of any page, you will find a Calendly link to have a conversation. It doesn't go to my team. Obviously, I don't do this alone. It goes right to my email, and I absolutely book in on the Calendly. I'm happy to answer any questions. And all my if you'd like to play in social, all my socials are on every page. Connect with me on any one of my socials. The free gift that we have for you is a beautiful class called How to Know Your Media Score. And that media score is basically learning things about the different types of media that are accessible, how you score those so you know how to make your decision, and how to media stack. So people will have to email me for that, because we do that class periodically, and sometimes it's part of a program that we do. And the listeners to Maturepreneur World will be able to just contact me, and we will give them the upcoming date, and we will backdoor them so they don't need to pay.
Okay, awesome. I love that. Thank you. So we will put notes on that into the vault, and go and check out Deb's, any of her media, platforms and social media, and of course the Woman's Channel. And just what's one last piece of it? I really want to know what a compiler is. Can you give me a one-sentence definition?
Oh, okay. So a compiler. Yeah, right. A compiler. So this is a woman that was compiling all of the book that I was doing. So she's RN, PR, and media as well. So she was compiling the book. Okay. She was the compiler to the book, but we also were media. I was
thinking she was like your assistant, and she was compiling all of your.
Oh, I have one of those too. So she was high level compiler. I have an assistant that does the compiling. There's 10 people behind me sitting in this chair, and I do want to squeeze out any of the summits that we do, which are really powerful and get to. And we have one coming up, International Women's Day. There is a buy donation button. Come in here from these 30 to 40 women, and if you need it to be free, there's a free button. No questions asked. Always.
Beautiful. Okay, so as you can see, lots and lots of different ways to think. So thank you for that. And I love your notion about if you've got too much or not enough of anything, so what? Do it anyways. Yeah. Brilliant tidbits in here, and wisdom and knowledge. Thank you for sharing so generously, Deb. I want you to leave one last piece of advice for our listeners. What would that be?
Well, for me, and music is the ultimate healer to anything that I'm going through in my life. If you don't know what to do, pull back, go put on Janis Joplin Pearl, have a glass of something, and it'll figure itself out. Honestly, music to me is a master healer.
Beautiful. Wasn't expecting that. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your brilliance and for playing so big. And ladies and gentlemen, please do share this episode. There are lots of people who need to hear this expansive way of thinking and being in the world. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like, and for the love of God, share. People need to hear Deb. Thanks for being here. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.